What's going on, y'all? With start the show, Coach Santa coming in live from Baltimore with Sunday. Looking forward to that. We'll be talking about that a little bit. All right.
I didn't hear a word you said during that intro.
Oh, well, let me start over then. Welcome to the podcast, y'all, with myself and the starter show, Coach Santa, who is live in Baltimore, where the Baltimore Ravens will be taking on the Kansas City Chiefs this Sunday in Championship Sunday for the right to go to the Super Bowl. Of course, the Lions and the Niners are also going to be playing, so you can check that out too. But Coach Santa, you're in Baltimore. I want to know two things. I want to know how you've been. I want to know how the city of Baltimore has been. Go.
All right. So first, I'd like to say I welcome you, Rabbi, in your rabbi gear. L'chaim. So this was a bit of a rough week for myself as I caught the COVID, but I'm on the mend, if you will. Started feeling weird on the bus ride home on Tuesday, and I thought it was like the weird, smells and scents or whatever from the bus, but it was not. It was me catching COVID. But I will say this is my second time ever having it, and it's nowhere near the first time. The first time I was writing out my will, and I was texting everybody who was going to have my baseball cards and who was going to have my shoes and stuff like that. Yeah, I was just like really run down like Wednesday and Thursday, sore throat. It felt like you know how like you try to swallow something, but it keeps trying to coming back up, and then it just stays stuck, and whatever. So all good. And as far as the Baltimore fan base, I would say it's pretty close to. I don't want to say rabid, like nothing's like Philadelphia, but people here love their Ravens. I will say the one segment of the population that is absolutely in love with the Ravens is the female fan base here. I mean, purple hair. We were at the mall like a week or two ago. We saw this grandmother. I mean, her hair was on the top like white, gray, and then it was like faded down to purple, and it had like gold tips. I'm like, okay, grandma. Purple scars, purple canes with like gold lions on top. They love their Ravens here. And keep in mind, it's a major city, but there's only two major sports teams with the Orioles and the Ravens. So yeah, it's everybody's excited.
That's what's up, man. They deserve it. They deserve it, man. The Baltimore Ravens organization has been one of the top-notch organizations really for quite some time, like 20 years. Going, I lost my train of thought. I was about to ask you something that I had to go off on that little quick tangent and mess myself up. Oh, lost it again. So, I know it. I remember it now. I saw that it was 80 degrees in DC today.
And it was 70. It was 78 in Baltimore. Yeah, I snuck upstairs, and all the snow is gone. Every single instance of snow is gone. So yeah.
And did you get to enjoy it? I mean, you just said you had COVID, so I don't know. Like, does that like restrict you from going outside? Like,
I went outside for 3.5 minutes, and then I came back downstairs. I just don't want to get my wife sick because she hasn't shown and she hasn't exhibited any signs, and I don't want to, Because the last time I caught it on a Monday, she was taking care of me, and then she caught it on a Tuesday, and then we were miserable together like that Wednesday. Yeah, it was. But this time around, I decided to move downstairs for the week because I thought it was important for me to be with the PlayStation and the 53-inch TV. But
That's what you thought was important.
well, I mean, it was either that or I mean, because the room that I would normally be in is right next to the. It's a safety measure. You know, I'm doing this for her protection, so I'll only be down here for 2 more days.
Okay. What's the protocol now? Like, what is?
Basic. So because I actually work at a hospital or I work across from a hospital but for the hospital system, it's pretty. You just have to what's it called? It's 5 days now. After 5 days, you could technically come out if you're still positive. You just have to be masked up. But if you're not positive, stay masked up for like 2 or 3 days, and then it's like test every other day after that. So I'm waiting till Sunday to test again.
So just said like after 5 days, you can go back to work, but just with a mask on or something.
Right, just so you know. But I have so after 5 days, I have to like test. So if I'm still positive, but I'm not exhibiting any symptoms, then I can go back to work. But if I'm like positive and I'm still like feverish or I'm still coughing and stuff, then I still have to stay secluded. I'm taking my COVID water.
Your COVID water.
Yeah.
Okay, I can dig it. Well, it's been an interesting week in sports and sports entertainment. A lot of things going on. Of course, we like to talk Phillies baseball in here. Reese Hoskins is no longer a Philly. He will be joining the Milwaukee Brewers. I don't know. Why I like always want to slip up and call them Baltimore Brewers. I don't know why.
It's the bees.
It's the bees, Brewers. You think of beer. When I think of beer, I think of Natty Boh because of Baltimore, and yeah, I don't know. It's like a whole long thing. But so Reese is no longer a Philly.
Addition by subtraction.
Say what?
Addition by subtraction.
Addition by subtraction. Question for you, Miguel. It's just an opinion, no right or wrong. If Reese Hoskins does not get hurt last year, and let's just say he has a similar season to what he had the previous year, is Reese Hoskins still a Philly? Because if Reese Hoskins doesn't get hurt, then Bryce doesn't go to first base.
Right, he'll just be the DH.
Mm-hmm.
It all. I would say if his postseason was successful, I think he would have stayed. And if it wasn't, then he probably would have been the first to go.
So do you think this now moves Kyle Schwarber into the DH?
God, I hope so. I'm still hopeful that we can trade him because I know like there was a big thing about his on base percentage, and you know he did something that was never done where he had like the lowest batting average ever and still was like whatever. But I think we have to start getting into the mode of getting hitters back instead of guys that can hit home runs but nothing else. And I think it starts by trading Schwarber. I want this team. I think needs a traditional leadoff hitter because,
they have traditional leadoff hitters in the lineup. They just don't utilize them.
Right. Like I think if you trained Rojas and put him in he would be ideal to lead off. In the future, I could see Justin Crawford if he makes it through the minor leagues, and I could see him as a traditional leadoff hitter. But yeah, I think this team needs a traditional leadoff hitter because with Schwarber up in the ninth or last at bat, we seen what he does or doesn't do. Bashing home runs, bashing teams into oblivion obviously didn't work.
Not this year.
Well, you could argue and say it didn't work last year. We just came up short in the World Series. This year, we just came up short earlier.
Well, I mean, yes, you're right, but like, can you really say it didn't work last year?
It didn't work. We didn't work. We didn't go to the World Series. The idea is to get better every year and to win more games in the playoffs every year. We won less playoff games.
Right, I'm not talking about this season. I'm not talking about that. I mean, 100% agree with you. This season it didn't work, but the World Series season you can't really say it didn't work. That's what got us there. Just didn't finish the deal.
But you didn't win. That's the thing. Like in the World Series, you get to the World Series a certain way. And in the World Series is how you can tell if that way is going to win you a championship. So Phillies were contenders, but not winners. That's why that style of play, and I hope, especially with all of the announcers seemingly finally changing the narrative on analytics and everything like that, and starting to pay attention to runners getting on base and moving runners over and stuff like that, getting back to what baseball actually should be. I'm hoping that the narrative affects the game overall and makes it watchable again, and now we can actually play some baseball or watch some baseball.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if that happens. 669-275-0548. That's the new number for New Twist Radio. 669-275-0548. Oh, if I'm going to put that out there, I probably should open up the phone line, shouldn't I?
Yes, you should.
Oh, boy. I tell you. Things you do when you forget what you're doing. I'm drinking out my wife's Yeti cup, by the way.
Was that the Yeti cup?
I don't have a Stanley or Yeti or like I'm the only person in the house with any of that stuff. Do you have like what kind of jug is that? That jug, your COVID water is huge. What is that?
I got this from. It just says it's called Tall, and this is called Zeus Green, and it holds 3 liters. This is Zeus Green. I don't know if Zeus was green, but or if he liked emerald.
And it's one of them ones that like keep your water cold for like 19 days.
Yeah, pretty much. This is what I use when I coach on the weekend. So I think I had I put like a liter of ice in it or a ton of ice in it, and it can stay cold up to like 2 days.
Miguel, I know you're not a big fan of the NBA anymore, but you
Correct.
had to have some thoughts about Joel Embiid scoring 70 points the other night.
No. Well, here's what I will say. It's about time. That's what I will say. Like, this is long overdue. He should be averaging 60 points a night.
He could. He probably could average 40 to 50.
No. He should be averaging 63.4 points a game. He should be averaging 20 rebounds a game.
But they would never win if he did that.
Well, they're not winning now. Or they're not winning. They haven't won anything yet.
What I'm saying, they wouldn't even make it to the playoffs if he did that.
True.
It just, that wouldn't work out. But he's a big man that can have assists and stuff. He gets his team involved, and that's something a lot of star players don't do and don't know how to do, is to get their team involved. He gets everybody involved, and that's why they've been successful this year. But 70 points by Joel Embiid, 70 points by anybody. 70 points. You're scoring 70 points against the other best players in the world. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I've never scored 70 points in a basketball game. Ever.
I've had like 15 fouls in a quarter.
I believe it. I believe you have. But man, 70 points, man. Like, so he actually broke the Sixers The Philadelphia 76ers franchise, right? That was highest points ever scored by a Philadelphia 76er, Joel Embiid. So congratulations to him. He had 70 points and 18 rebounds. I think he had like 5 assists or something like that, right? You know, the only other player to do that, to have 70 points and no, to have at least 60 points and like 15 rebounds or something like that.
Was it Kobe? Was it Iverson?
No, sir. It was one Michael Jeffrey Jordan.
Jeffrey.
Only player to do it in NBA history. Not even Wilt Chamberlain.
Damn.
Not even Wilt Chamberlain. So Joel Embiid just recently named to his I believe 7th All-Star game appearance. He's a starter again. The way it's looking right now, he'll probably be the MVP again. But a lot of people say, and I'm one of them, this is great. I love it. I'm enjoying it. I'm taking in the moment. But I want to see it in the playoffs. I want to see it in the playoffs. If I don't see it in the playoffs, I enjoyed the season, but it didn't bring home a ring.
Oh, hit the breaking news button.
Okay. Give me 1 second.
And if not, we can make one up.
Okay. It's breaking news.
Breaking news. AP reports that Vincent K. McMahon resigns from roles with the WWE, the TKO group, amid sexual assault and trafficking allegations. So he has stepped down from everything.
Man, I tell you what, that's a bad sign for Vince. If you ask me, I would love to get my man Mike Knox on here and ask him.
Was it you that sent me the thing about he did I guess you would have to call it a skit, but he actually did a storyline in the WWE where his daughter Stephanie McMahon was yelling at him and telling him, about all the stuff that he made her do and all the young girls that, I did with it was an actual storyline from this was 2003. And she's upset with him and, fussing at him. And he's like, I'm sorry, I have urges. So it was an actual storyline.
I don't think I sent that to you.
Okay. All right. No. So
I think I've seen that. I remember seeing that before.
Right. He was groveling and, stuff like that. But it's funny how art is imitating life. Not funny, but a lot of that stuff that is coming out now about Vince McMahon, these were storylines in the 70s and the 80s. You know what I mean? The one story about the Montreal screw job with Bret Hart and stuff like that. That's not the first time that has happened.
Oh, I'm sure.
There was one instance. It actually happened during the Rock and Wrestling Connection. I can't remember the name of the wrestler, but it was a female wrestler that used to come out with Cyndi Lauper. I'm telling my age, right? Wendy Richter, that's who it was, and she was wrestling against who was the old female wrestler? She was old.
Mae Young.
Mae Young, yeah, she was wrestling Mae Young, and the referee did a fast count, and took the belt off of her, and she yelled into the camera, and she's like, "You can have the belt, Vince." So the reason why he took the belt off of her because he wouldn't have sex with her. That's the real story behind that whole thing. So this is again
she wouldn't have sex with him.
Right. She denied him sex and she took the belt. He took the belt off of her. And her career was pretty much done after that.
But this was a long time ago that this
Long
happened.
time ago. But again, it just shows that the history pattern of and not to say that that's what he did with Bret Hart. That was a totally different situation, but still the same thing happened. But there was a history, like if you look on YouTube, you'll see like when Vince McMahon was on oh gosh, he was on like a talk show, and a lot of former wrestlers were exposing professional wrestling, mainly Vince McMahon's federation.
I know you're talking about. It was
Phil Donahue.
Phil Donahue. Yep.
Yeah.
Phil Donahue.
Yeah, and they had exposed a lot of the homosexual wrestlers, or there was a lot of like sexual favors going back and forth, with everything. So it was like this whole sexual thing is nothing new. It's just now finally coming. I mean, there was one report that I saw that like there was a series of text messages where he was talking about like using toys and defecating, and it's really, really brutal. And there's receipts. And I think that's probably the difference between today and way back then. Back then, it was like all hearsay. Now it's like, wait a minute. Here's a text from Vicious Vince to this person, and So yeah, it's you can't get away with what you used to get away with back in the day, and it's like nobody's really learning their lesson. Whether you're rich or poor, it's like
so many people are getting exposed right now. So many people are getting exposed. You had your Weinstein, your who was the other guy? The other Steen, Epstein, Weinstein,
a lot of stings.
R. Kelly, Puff Daddy, like Vince McMahon,
TD Jakes.
TD Jakes is coming under some scrutiny.
Don't you can't say those words together.
Donald Trump is going through some stuff.
Donald Trump, he's gonna be the president again. So
yeah, we all know it. We all know it. It is what it is. Just threw off my whole. Let me take a sip. You just threw off my whole.
You want to break that for a real quick second and.
Hold on. I got to do something for you. I forgot to do something for you. So, Vince McMahon, this is from Coach Santa to you. Big dummy.
That's right. He's our dummy of the week.
You done messed all that up. Let's go to let's go to this. We're gonna go to a segment that has become a staple on New Tools Radio. We're gonna steal a segment. We're gonna steal a New Tools Radio segment. We're gonna steal a segment from the 10-7 show. And it's called Would You Rather? Segment of the show is where you
gotta warn me next time, man. That scared the crap out of me.
No, that's what I like to do. I like to scare people with noises. Okay. That was weird.
That's second weird thing in less than 5 minutes. We might have to.
What was the first?
When you said Vince McMahon was coming into his own, you said that.
Yeah, but I didn't catch that. Sheesh, the way you just said it. Sheesh. We got to change the rating on this show.
We'll check the tape next week.
That's where you put your commas in your sentences, Coach.
Make sure you pronounce your syllables.
All right, we're going to get into Would You Rather portion of the show, and is where we give you a situation or a question and see what you would rather do. And if you want to put in an idea of what you would rather do, you can put it in the comments or hit us up 669-275-0548. Miguelito,
sir,
do you have a would you rather question for us?
I have a couple of them actually. Let's see, what shall we do first? Okay. Would you rather watch a regular season game, courtside, sidelines, behind the plate, or a high stakes playoff game from the nosebleeds?
Regular season game, behind the plate, courtside, whatever.
Really?
Uh-huh. Now, basketball, baseball, yes. Football, I would probably take the nosebleeds.
I've been to a football game. I saw the Eagles Giants at the vet, and we were sitting like where I guess that would be like left center, but it was like on field level. Worst seats ever. We couldn't once the Eagles went down the other end, you couldn't really see what was going on. But when I saw the NFC Championship game, when the Eagles beat the Falcons to go to the Super Bowl,
Oh
and
yeah, you were.
I was there. There was nothing. The greatest hit I've ever seen was when Brian Dawkins laid the hit on Algie Crumpler. You heard that, John, from the thing. And then when Algie Crumpler, he got right up, to his credit. But then when he collapsed on the sidelines, oh my goodness. The roar from the oh my goodness, we went nuts. And we were throwing snowballs, and it was gorgeous. It was galore because it snowed like 2 days before. It was absolutely galore. So yeah. And hockey too. Hockey's a great game to watch from the rafters too.
What about basketball and baseball? Which one you taking?
Baseball, I would do anywhere behind the first or third base side, but I prefer up.
No, I'm talking about as it refers to your question.
Oh,
Baseball, would you take the regular season game behind the plate, or are you taking the big game in the nosebleeds?
I'm a crowd guy, so I would probably do the nosebleeds for baseball, just because of that atmosphere. And because I've been to one playoff game in my life, and just that experience, like the unadulterated joy of, like, a great play or the win and stuff like that. There's just nothing that beats it. So I would probably lean towards being in the Raptors.
Okay, I actually have been to one baseball playoff game in my life, and it was the game. So funny we just mentioned it was the game where Reese Hoskins hit that home run and slammed the bat.
And did the
Braves? Yep, it was that game. And
where were you sitting?
I was sitting right field, lower level right field, foul side of the foul pole. But like I was like, we might have been like 20 rows up or something like that, 25 rows.
When the ball was hit, were you looking at Reese, or you were looking at where the ball was landing?
So my memory remembers I looked at the ball and I looked back and I saw him slam the bat. Like I looked to see him slam the bat, because I don't remember where the ball went.
Gotcha.
And I don't know what made me look back at him instead of trying to watch the ball. I looked back and I saw him slam, and it was Ardot, and I went to the game, and I turned to Ardot. I said, "Yo, did you see that? He just slammed the bat. You see that?" I don't know what made me turn back to see that, but yeah, that was pretty dope.
Nice. Well, in the theme of playoffs and whatnot, would you rather win the World Series or the Super Bowl?
Ooh. Wow. Damn. That's a tough one. Because I mean, damn, that's like, how you supposed to pick? How you like, you could throw any of the championships in there, and I'm like,
specifically these two. I think one, because baseball's our sport, and I'd say football's probably like 1A, or 1B, I should say.
It's because and on the same token, I feel like in baseball and football, winning the championship holds so much more weight when it comes to your legacy than any other sports.
Those two, you mean, or just
Well, because maybe some of that might be because Michael Jordan kept so many greats from winning a championship.
right,
That in basketball, you have so many greats that haven't won championships.
right.
But when you think about baseball greats, so many are associated with winning a World Series, right? Like Barry Bonds never won one, and but he'll be known for his home runs, right? If Chase Utley gets into the Hall of Fame, which he probably will, he does. To me, he doesn't get in without that World Series. To me, like, we could talk about Chase Utley another time. Like, I talk about Chase Utley another time. Because I got some thoughts about Chase Utley. I loved him as a player, but I got some thoughts about Chase Utley as far as the Hall of Fame is concerned. Like football, your legacy is tied. Like the only football player that I can really think of who is still considered so great and didn't win a Super Bowl is Dan Marino. I can't think of any other football players that are held in such a high regard like him that didn't win one. Maybe at one point OJ, but you know that whole murder.
Yeah, that whole murder thing.
That whole called ain't helping, right? So
what about like Randy Moss,
Randy Moss,
Chris Carter?
Here's the thing: Randy Moss will be considered great, right?
Because of you.
He will always be in that Terrell Owens, Randy Moss shelf. Then you got the Jerry Rice shelf because he's won multiple, right? And these two didn't win any, and each of them only played in one, if I'm remembering correctly. Randy should have played in two. Should have got the one with the Vikings and Randall and all like that, but let me not get mad about that. But yeah, Randy Moss will be considered a great. He will be considered one of the best wide receivers of all time. But the Jerry Rice argument will always be there and will always have merit. If Randy won as many Super Bowls as Jerry, like if that number was even, I think Randy Moss would probably he would be way above Jerry Rice in people's minds. I really believe that. So to answer your question, I've been avoiding your question all this time.
I know. Yeah, I can hear the talk around.
I still don't know. All
right. So how about we do this?
I'm going to say Super Bowl.
You're going to say Super Bowl. All right. Because what I was going to do was, like, how did you feel when the Phillies won the World Series, and how did you feel when the Eagles won the Super Bowl? You know what I mean?
That's a good comparison. It's a good comparison, and it's interesting because in both situations, I was feeling like finally, but for two different reasons. Mm-hmm. We got a call coming in. I'm gonna get to that call in just a minute. When the Phillies won, and I was like, finally, it was Philly finally won a championship that I could see.
Right.
Championship finally. I finally saw a championship.
Right.
When the Eagles won, it was the Eagles finally won a Super Bowl.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's say the Sixers win this year. It'll be great. I'll say finally the Sixers won, but they won in my lifetime. I just was too young to really know it. But it won't have the same weight for me as the Eagles and the Sixers. I mean, the Eagles and the Phillies. The Phillies carried the weight of the city. The Eagles
Yeah.
carried the Eagles after the Phillies were able to win that championship. Before we take the call, I want to know your answer.
See, this is a little more personal only because like baseball is like my baby kind of sort of thing. So, for the record, when I was born in November of '79, and this has only been done once in the history of sports, the Sixers went to the finals, the Flyers went to the Stanley Cup, and the Eagles went to the Super Bowl, and the Phillies went to the World Series. So it's the only time before or since, the only time in the history of the world that all major sports teams went to their championships in the same year. The Phillies were the only ones that won. And the only championship, my first championship game series I ever witnessed was in '93. And we all know how that ended. And it was just so disappointing. Like I just couldn't sleep for like days and stuff like that. This is where I understood this before I understood that athletes make millions of dollars and they don't really give a damn about me. And then it was the '90s, living through like, you know, the missed field goal on the 1 yard line, the Donovan McNabb game with the pick against Tampa Bay, and you know the Phillies just absolutely being garbage, and the Sixers coming up short against the Lakers. So it was like wow, when is it going to be our turn and stuff like that. And then it was like, oh, we're the city of losers. And so you know the Phillies winning the World Series, I was glad that they were the first team to win a championship because baseball's my first love. But that Super Bowl, the Super Bowl, the Eagles winning the Super Bowl was the first parade I ever went to. And
I didn't go to that parade.
Yeah, I was gonna go to the Phillies parade, but then there was this message that went out that it was something along the lines of the SEPTA system has reached its max capacity and is en route to failure. I'm like, so I'm gonna watch it from my home.
I did go to the Phillies parade. I didn't take SEPTA, but
right.
Yeah, let's take this call real quick. Let me bring the call in just a moment. We got brother on the line. There he is. Brother, how you doing, brother?
How you doing, guys?
Yo,
how's it going?
So I wanted to respond. The hardest hit was Steve Atwater versus Christian Okoye.
Ooh.
That was phenomenal. I mean, that was a shot heard around the world.
That was a shot. That shot pretty much was like the end of Christian Okoye.
That was the end of Okoye. Yep.
Yeah.
It's like, did he go back to Nigeria or what? Because he absolutely did not hear any more about it. And then, so there's a rumor around Saquon Barkley may be, somebody that's going to, going to the Eagles.
Yeah, I saw that.
And so the likelihood is,
possible
Penn State and all.
spot.
This is really his favorite team. So we'll see what happens there. And I was talking to Miguel earlier in reference to how Vince looks like Jimmy Johnson a little bit. So his scope of work. What do you guys think about?
He's talking about the new defensive coordinator.
Oh, Vic Fangio.
Yeah.
Vic Fangio. Yeah. Sopranos.
I'll be honest with you. I don't know much about Vic Fangio. Like I really don't. And that's on me because I saw he got hired and I never really looked into him. Miguel, what do you know? What do you know about Vic Fangio?
So some of the criticism, because I always look at what the worst criticisms are. Some of the criticism is that he has that bend but don't break defense, so he pretty much doesn't play defense in between the 20s and stuff like that. But when I looked at like his defenses, like for the Dolphins, for instance, because that's where he's coming from. I think they were like number one on hits on the QB. They were like top 5 in like tackles behind the line of scrimmage, and so it's like those are like kind of things. But the one thing that everybody was kind of praising him about is that he cares about linebackers. He likes linebackers. So, and he's looking at a coach, one for San Diego and one I think who was a former Dallas Cowboys assistant. That is very. He coaches linebackers.
That's when they won the Super Bowl. I think he was a linebackers coach under Ryan and Marvin Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
Well, with the Ravens, you said the Ravens that won the years.
Yeah, he got a history, and Jimmy Johnson had a similar bend but don't break. They was just locked down in the red zone.
Yeah.
And Jim Johnson, the former Eagles
Jimmy
defensive
Johnson, yeah, Jim Johnson.
See, I didn't feel like Jim Johnson's was so much. It was a bend but don't break, but it was kind of disguised under all the blitzing he did. Whereas what we've seen the last couple of years, you could probably count on one hand all season how many times.
Well, we couldn't blitz because we had so many. We couldn't hide, our deficiencies, so we couldn't blitz.
This is true.
Jim Johnson is the creator of the Andre Dawkins, the safety position changed because of Jim Johnson's defense.
Yeah,
that was my 2K.
All right, Gerardo, well, we appreciate the call. I don't know if something was going on with his phone there, but it's all good. We appreciate the call, appreciate the support as always. 669-275-0548. Had to turn off the little mood music. Just to go back, I just want to remind myself. You said you would do the World Series. Your championship would be the World Series. Come on now, it's too quiet. You gotta tell me something. Come on.
Yeah, I would say World Series only because you have to do it over the course of 4. You have to win 4 games out of 7 versus just the one. And I think that's why. Well, I think that's why. Like with the Super Bowl, I mean, it's kind of not. It's not just the sport, but it's also the entertainment spectacle. You have the extended halftime, and it's about the commercials and stuff like that. So it's a little bit more fanfare, if you will.
Let me expand. Let me expand on the question. Won championships in all of sports. What championship is it? All of sports. What championship are you winning?
Well, if you put it that way, then it probably would be the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because I'm just and I guess because the Eagles winning the Super Bowl was so improbable. You know what I mean? I think that's what made it extra special. Beating Tom Brady, being the underdog and stuff like that. I think that maybe that's why I'm like kind of like,
I feel like the fact that the Eagles beat Tom Brady made it extra special because of the circumstances of the first
right.
Super Bowl loss,
right,
against the Patriots and Tom Brady and Bill Belichick and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It made it extra special, and then the fact that it was a backup quarterback made it even more special.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, if it was one championship in all of sports, I'm thinking of, and I'm like, would it be in the Olympics? Nah. I started to say the Olympic, like the 100-meter dash in the Olympics, being considered the fastest man in the world. But I'm thinking Masters. Me win the green jacket. I know it's crazy, right? But think about it. Like, there's really no other golf tournament that an uncommon golf fan even cares about. I'm not saying they care about it, but they might turn it on to see what's happening because there's so much fanfare behind it. You know what I mean? It's like Wimbledon in tennis.
Right, I got you.
I didn't think about Wimbledon. I wouldn't mind winning Wimbledon either. Wimbledon. See, I always want to say it correctly, but my mouth won't let me. Like I have to think. But I think the Masters, and plus I want to play that golf course, so I think I would take the Masters.
Yeah, there's something about like the individual sports.
Yeah.
Okay. So what? All right. So let me throw this curveball at you. Okay.
Uh-oh.
Would you rather win the Masters or hold high above your head the WWE World Wrestling Championship?
So I would say the Masters.
Fair game.
And it's actually that actually is easier than I thought. I would say the Masters for sure. Because like I know when you become the champion in the WWE, you've earned it in some way, shape, or form. You've earned it.
Mm-hmm.
You've trained for it and all like that. But you kind of know before you start that you're going to win. You know what I mean?
True, but anything can still happen.
Anything can still happen, but in the Masters, you got to compete against other best golfers that are trying to beat you and everybody else too.
Right. You don't know the outcome is not preordained. But the Super Bowl, but NFL scripted.
So they say.
There may be proof.
We know for a fact wrestling is scripted.
Right.
Like that's all part of the whole thing. Like we know it's a reality show that is scripted. I don't consider, and I know a lot of people are not going to like what I'm about to say, but whatever.
Uh-oh.
I don't consider professional wrestling like WWE. I don't consider that a sport. I do consider them athletes. I don't consider it a sport.
So let me ask you this: when it's reported, when the breaking news was reported, it was reported by sports outlets. It came in through CBS Sports, through ESPN. So should they not like report on stuff like that because they're not?
Well, here's the thing: it's sports entertainment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Harlem Globetrotters is sports entertainment. So if a Harlem Globetrotter were to fall off a building, sports outlets will probably report it first. Maybe. The only thing is there's probably not a lot of major sports reporters that are going to get major stories following around the Harlem Globetrotters, right? Like they're a traveling show, just like the WWE is a traveling show. It's just that WWE has so many eyeballs on it, has so much money coming through it, and is worth so much and gets so much attention. Yeah, let's have Bleacher Report cover. Let's have ESPN cover. Let's have Fox Sports cover. The WWE.
Well, you heard that they got a new deal too. They're going to be they have a Netflix deal coming out. So they're moving from, I think their USA deal expires end of this year. So they'll be going over to Netflix in January.
Is that on Peacock anymore? Not that I really watch it, but I want to watch what I can now before it goes off Peacock.
I have no idea, but one of the stories I read was that Triple H has been dying for years to go back to the 2-hour format because he says it's hard to write a storyline for an extra hour. So it looks like once they go over to Netflix, that they'll be able to kind of control more of the narrative of their storylines, and they would have one base 2-hour show, and kind of go from there.
I got you.
Unless he resigns because of sex trafficking.
Well, we're definitely going to keep an eye on that, and we are a sports outlet, so we're going to keep an eye on that. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't consider it a sport. I consider them athletes. I consider them having a scripted sport like the Harlem Globetrotters, but I don't consider professional wrestling a sport. It is an athletic event or an athletic
exhibition.
Like if I go to a circus, I'm not considering the people on the trapeze a sport. I don't consider
But they're athletes. Yeah, they're definitely athletes.
But they're definitely athletes for sure. Do we got anything else we need to hit? I guess we got to start wrapping this up.
You wanted to go over the playoff games this weekend?
Let's do it. I thought we did do it already, but no, we just talked about the Ravens a little bit. We talked about the Baltimore fans. We didn't talk about the game.
Right. So right off the bat, it looks like the Chiefs' Pacheco is questionable against the Ravens. Yeah, so that could be that could be big.
Concussion?
No, toe/ankle. And Joe Thuney is out due to a pectoral injury.
Pacheco's going to play.
Well, no doubt, but it's just a matter of will he play effectively? Because it's one thing when it's upper body, but you're talking about toe and ankle. That he may play, but I don't think he'll be effective.
Do they still shoot players up with the pain deadener?
They say they don't, but we know they do. What was that game? Was it last year when what's the name hurt his leg? Mahomes hurt his leg, and he looked like he was like gonna pass out. Then he came back and threw 3 touchdowns in the third quarter.
Yeah,
and there was no limp,
And then he came and did it in the Super Bowl. Played in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Deebo Samuel, he's a go. Even though he had that shoulder thing, he's set to play.
I hope the Lions win that game. So I hope the Lions win that game.
Yeah, I mean, I usually once the Eagles lose or if the Eagles are not in it, I usually go underdog. So I'm rooting. I'm more so rooting for Lamar Jackson than I am for the Ravens because he did the one thing that nobody in this. It's amazing how 6 months can change the dialogue in a city. Like over the summer, remember, he was a free agent. They didn't know if he was gonna, hold out, because he was a restricted free agent. So, is he gonna, accept the max deal? And then all of a sudden, when nothing was heard from either camp, it was like, well, he wasn't that good anyway. Oh, he was a running quarterback. He ain't this. There's so many other quarterbacks that are better, and let's go re-sign Flacco. Like that was the dialogue. And then all of a sudden, when he signed, Super Bowl, we're going Super Bowl. You know what I mean? But then there was still the doubters that were crushing him in the media, but I seen he got better as the season. He got smarter, became more accurate. And seem to kind of be elite. And what people don't know is he represents himself. You don't hear about that. You hear about players firing agents left and right, but they don't represent themselves. And he got himself paid. He got himself the money. Got himself the insurance. And he's playing like he should. You know what I mean? So I'm rooting hard for Lamar Jackson. And I'm rooting against all the teams that beat the Eagles.
Well, yeah, I'm definitely doing that. There's only one team left in the playoffs that beat the Eagles, though.
Right. That's why I'm rooting for the Lions. Yeah, but I don't like Goff, man. I don't like him.
Yeah, he's a hate the face guy, but I'm not. I'm not big on golf, but I don't like the Niners at all. Never did.
Mm,
Only time I liked the Niners was when Deion Sanders played for him for that one season.
yeah.
I think it was one season. He played from that one season, and I like the Niners because I like Deion. I was a Deion fan at
And they
when he
beat
Atlanta.
the Cowboys.
Huh?
And they beat the Cowboys when he won.
Cowboys to the Super Bowl, and then he ended up going to the Cowboys, and I was just like, nah, I gotta hate Deion.
Right.
I gotta hate Prime.
Mm-hmm.
Now I can like him again because now he's a coach.
You think he'll coach in the NFL?
I think he'll coach in the NFL. Now, are you asking me, do I think it'll happen for him, or are you asking me, do I think if he wants to?
I'm thinking if he does, would he? If he if like what happened with Harbaugh, I think part of the reason why he left Michigan was to avoid the sanctions and stuff, but because he kind of did what he's doing what Chip Kelly pseudo did when he left Oregon. Because remember there was an era of I forget what the allegation was that when Chip left Oregon to coach the Eagles, but yeah.
I forgot about that. Yeah, there was something. Um, does he do? If you ask me, do I think he wants to? Um, I don't know if I think he wants to.
At least not yet. Yeah.
Back to that. If you're asking me, do I think it will happen? I think if it will happen, it will happen. It'll happen straight out of Colorado. Like he'll go from Colorado to the NFL. I don't think he's going to. If he ends up like going to like another school, I don't know if he ends up going to the pros. He might just end up being a college coach.
Yeah, I think he'll definitely be successful at college. It's just will what he does at the college level translate to the NFL? I mean,
Right.
in theory, it should because he's a former player, but
Guy.
yeah,
Like like it seems like he enjoys all the aspects of coaching college football, the recruiting and
right.
the giving guys the opportunity and stuff like that. It seems like he thrives with that. That might be where his calling is. And the people that are the people of parents that have children that age are for the most part people that grow up knowing who Deion Sanders was and is, and may have bought his sneakers, which I wanted to, but I never did. But they're coming back out, and I might do it. I might just get them one of them at one time. So yeah, but excuse me. But yeah, so shoot, I guess we're gonna get up out of here. You got any last words, Miguel, before we get out of here? Oh, did we make any picks? We ain't make no picks. I'm just
let's make the picks. Let's make the picks.
I'm going with my heart. And I'm going Ravens and Lions in the Super Bowl.
So what do you got for a score for the Ravens and
Damn, you want me to do that? Sheesh. Oh. For the Ravens and the Chiefs, what do I have for the score there? I'm looking at a game that's looking at I'm looking like at carry the 112 at the 4 across the Delaware River. 27-22 Ravens.
okay.
27-22 Ravens. And then the other game, Lions and Niners, I got the Lions winning. And once again, I'm going to go with my heart here. I got the Lions winning 37-1.
That is the one.
No, I got the Lions winning in this one. I think this one might be a little lower. I think this one might be like 24-22, 24-21. I think this might be like a knockdown, drag out type deal. Like I think they just gonna be punching each other in the mouth the whole time.
Yeah, I think I'll go Ravens. We'll say they're scoring 25 points a game in every playoff game. I'll say Ravens 33, Chiefs 20.
Okay.
33-20. Now, 49ers and Lions.
Not sure.
I want the Lions to win. But I think same thing, low scoring game, but I think it'll be the 49ers pulling it off. 22-18.
22-18. You got a 4-point game there, and you got a 13-point game on the other side. Well, we'll have to check it out. We'll have to see what happens on Sunday. Very excited for championship weekend this Sunday. Ravens, Chiefs, Lions, 49ers, and me in front of the TV. And of course, oh man, we're gonna have the 10-7 show on Sunday. So I'm gonna miss I'm gonna miss a good portion of one of them games.
Well, you're gonna miss. I mean, you're gonna see the good game.
What time?
I mean, not that 49ers, and I mean the game with some significance.
I'm not gonna miss the game that I want to see. Is that what you're saying?
There you go.
What time does that game start?
3:00, and then the other one's at 6.
Okay, so I'll probably see all of that game. All right, cool.
Don't tell your wife. I'll just text you during the show.
Sounds like a plan. Wouldn't be the first time. All right, well, we're gonna get up out of here. We appreciate y'all hanging with us here on the Check Swing Podcast with myself and the Starter Show Coach Sam. We're gonna take steps to get the hell up out of here. We talk to y'all next week right here on the Check Swing Podcast. Peace out, y'all.